Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the F1 Debrief. Of course, last weekend held the 2023 Japanese Grand Prix, and once again I'm joined by my co-host Alex. Welcome aboard, Alex.
Thank you for having me again.
What do you think of the Grand Prix this weekend?
Back to regular programming, I reckon, is the best way to describe it. It was good to watch the race up until second place, and that was an entertaining bit.
So yeah, literally just a normal Formula One race that we've had throughout before the summer break. So if you didn't get the hint,
And after,
yeah, that's it. If you didn't get the hint, Max Verstappen won once again. Started first, finished first, and he was just again unbeatable. Unreal.
Yeah,
It's
like,
unreal
there's
how
no
well
other
they're doing.
words.
Exactly.
No, he almost got passed on turn one and lap one by both McLarens.
That was the most exciting part of the race.
For Max at least. But after that, yeah, it was clean sailing.
Not
all
even
the way
the
home.
not even the
Hour and a
safety
half
car
later.
stopped him.
Yeah, literally, I forgot about that.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so overall it was a race. There was a lot of behind the scenes action, which we'll get into as we go through this list. But in terms of on track action, there wasn't too much. But some big news from the weekend is that Red Bull have won their 6th Constructors Championship, which is mega considering how well Perez has been doing the last couple rounds.
Yeah, and it's even also more mega the fact that there's still 6 races to go.
Yeah, so it's pretty unreal. Plus, we did some off-air chat about if he wins every race for the rest of the year, he will match Sebastian Vettel's total of race wins, which is 54, which is also insane, considering majority of that has been this year.
Yeah.
He's already up to, 11 now?
So yeah, what was Vettel's record for the win year? It was 13. Now I think we discovered that Max has already won 13 this year. So one more race and he passes Sebastian Vettel in the all-time wins for a season, which would be
crazy.
13. However, look,
crazy.
The modern era has a bit of a more advantage because there are 4 more races than Sebastian Vettel had that year. So, you know, take a grain of
That
salt.
is very true.
Take a grain of salt with that. You know, if Vettel had 3 or 4 more races, he could have won 3 or 4 more. Sure. Nevertheless,
It's like
the past is the past.
It's like the most, because obviously Red Bull now have won the most races in a season, which used to be McLaren back in 1988 when they won 15 out of 16 Grand Prix. And the fact that they had 16 versus this year, we got 23. So a bit of a jump.
It's a bit of a jump.
So it's hard to compare.
Yeah, but nevertheless, like, let's just say it was a 19 race season, right? How many would we still have left? We'd still have 4. No, sorry, 2.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
2 to go. So if he wins the next one, he's passing no matter what.
Yeah. But and also, speaking of that next round, if he wins either the sprint race or the Grand Prix, he can actually clinch the title.
Oh, really?
Which isn't a surprise.
5 races to go.
5 races to go. He can actually just run away and stop driving for the rest of the year.
I reckon for the rest of the year, he shouldn't be allowed to qualify.
That's it. He should start at the back every race. That'd be interesting.
Well, he's not going to lose.
Yeah, I want. Come on, let's get Norris winning.
Yeah,
or Piastri. And speaking of them, they had a great weekend. A 2nd and 3rd place respectively. They both also started 2nd and 3rd, with Piastri starting ahead of his teammate. And yeah, Piastri's got his first F1 podium in his rookie season. First time in Japan. So it's a pretty good achievement, if I say so myself.
Yeah, that I reckon that part there, the fact he's never raced in Suzuka at Suzuka before, and just comes out P2, no worries, and chucks it on the podium first attempt. Like, besides a race win, you could not have asked for a much better debut at a track.
It was a very good lap too. Let's ignore the fact that Verstappen was half a second faster.
Yeah.
But of course he's Max Verstappen. But for a rookie, in a car that was an average, it was a shitbox to begin the year, it's now the second fastest car this weekend.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Even faster than their customer car.
Yeah, literally. And just to think back, round 1, that team literally qualified. It was 18th and 19th. And now they're 2nd and 3rd. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a team actually improve that much during the season.
And because of that, it actually is fun to drive them in the F1 game because they're actually decent.
Yeah, well, it also just means that there's more competition at the front, which is great.
That is true.
That has been missing the last couple of years. And hats off to them. Obviously, those two drive the day for the team wise.
For sure.
Could not have done better. And then there's poor old Charles Leclerc, who had a very boring race.
He was on his own. He was like behind the set. He wasn't. I didn't really see much of him, to be honest. He started 4th and finished 4th.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And he had a very similar outing at Singapore. Obviously, he started 2nd. 3rd. But he was nowhere to be seen visually and, well, on track. Like, finished 8 seconds behind Piastri, which wasn't too bad in the end. But we didn't see much of him, and he just drove around by himself, really.
In a way, it wasn't a bad thing, though. Finishing 4th is pretty good. If you're on your own and boring, that's probably where you want to be.
And look, given the season that Ferrari's kind of had, besides Singapore, you'd probably take a 4th place out of the whole year. So,
the main thing is we actually came out of this weekend is Ferrari was actually faster than Mercedes this weekend, with Hamilton finishing 5th after starting 7th. They didn't have a great weekend, I've got to admit. They even admitted themselves the car wasn't good. Their pace wasn't good enough. Hamilton got in they had some quite aggressive battles throughout the race.
Yeah, that was interesting. And I don't think Toto would have enjoyed that very much.
He wasn't actually here this weekend. So he would have probably hated it even more. Probably a glass table at his house probably broke, which isn't ideal for him. But
I got the money to fix it. But
he's got another one ready to go.
It was very odd to see them battle, and George made a very good point during the race. He's like, "Hey, are we battling ourselves or are we battling other people? What are we doing?"
Yeah. Because the thing is, Sainz was catching up because of that.
Yeah, and poor George lost 5th and 6th. In that.
And the thing is, he did a one-stop strategy. He's the only car out there that did the one-stop.
Right.
And by the end of the race, he was just gone. He had no pace whatsoever. And if it wasn't for Hamilton getting past Russell at the straight on the main straight, Sainz probably would have gotten past Hamilton as well.
Yeah, Hamilton did a good job to hold off Sainz because, like we said, Ferrari were quicker than the.
It was getting close.
And Sainz was on a bit of an attack because it was toward the back end of the top 10 for a while, and then stormed home.
Yeah, that's it. And it feels like 2022 Mercedes this weekend, unfortunately.
Yeah,
especially considering how good they did in Singapore.
Yeah. Singapore's one of those tracks though where you can't really compare to the rest of them because
that's true.
Kind of a medium to high speed track, medium to low speed, I'd even say. And not many other tracks are like that. You'd probably say Monaco, but Singapore's the Monaco version where you can pass. That's all it is, I think. Anyway, so
exactly.
Hard to compare, but obviously you can see with power tracks is what I like to call them. Tracks that you show your true speed. Look, you can see who has that, and that's McLaren and Red Bull, and it's pretty obvious.
And I'm very excited to actually see how they go in Qatar next weekend.
Yeah,
as well.
I want to talk about that before we finish this a little bit, if we can, because I got a feeling that's going to be a very similar track.
I reckon. I'm hoping Verstappen magically crashes and one of the McLarens win.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about
fingers
that.
Crossed.
We'll talk about it later.
Doubt that will happen, but fingers crossed. Yeah, exactly. 8th position, Fernando Alonso, who started 10th. He had a better result than Singapore. He can't say much for his teammate, though.
No. Well, Fernando didn't go across the pit line. Pretty hard to do at Suzuka anyway. So no mistakes on that front. Yeah, honestly, I didn't really see him do too much. It just kind of ran his own race and, finished as high up as he could with the car he had. It was 20-odd seconds behind the Merc of George. So, yeah, I think he just... 8th was probably the best that Aston Martin could have accomplished, to be honest.
Which is a shame, because it's literally the polar opposite of McLaren. They started so well at the start of the year. Now they've just dropped.
Yeah. It's not as such a big...
Unfortunately.
It's not a big decline. Like, they're still battling cars, whereas McLaren were, almost dead last. But it is disappointing, but it's obvious to see that the other teams have progressed, like Ferrari and Mercedes. They've done better. And that kind of role switched. They're the second best car. Now they're probably the 5th best car.
Yeah.
Which is a bit disappointing, but I think Fernando's pushing that thing to the limit. And hopefully there's another track on the calendar. I can't really think of one that would maybe bring them closer to a podium. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's it. Still, like we said, we've still got 6 to go, so anything can really happen.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of upgrades, not too many cars are getting upgrades. I think they're mostly focusing on next year's car. I know Red Bull have just completely stopped now this year's car.
Why improve it? There's no need.
Yeah, I know, right? But hopefully, probably Alonso. That's probably the best he could have done with the 100%. Car he had. But the only time, speaking of that, the only time we saw him, like as we mentioned before, was when we didn't actually see them on the TV either. Ocon and Gasly 9th and 10th. There was a bit of a controversial thing between the two at the end of the race there. So what happened was Ocon was sitting in 9th and Gasly was 10th. Gasly was the fastest car at the time, and they could see Alonso up ahead. So he asked the team if he could swap with Ocon and see if he could chase Alonso, which they did. But unfortunately, Gasly was unable to catch up to Alonso and was asked to give the position back. Unfortunately, he didn't like that too much, and you could see how distraught he was in the driver after race interview, and he was really not happy after that.
Yeah, Ocon was, he has the right, he's let you through. If you chase him, by all means, go at it. You failed. You failed, and that was the task. Ocon worked his way to that position during the race. Yes, Gasly had the better pace toward the end, but the rule is, and every team in the world can vouch for this: if you don't pass the car you're chasing, you give the spot back.
Yeah, and it's simple team decisions.
Yeah, 100%. And I can see where Gasly comes from, and where every driver comes from in that regard. Look, I was faster than my teammate. I should finish ahead of him. Look, I get that point of view, but the whole point is, hey, look, I'm chasing down Alonso, and if I get him, I get him. If I don't, I don't. But
you would think that
it is not a rule. It's one of those fake rules. You know what they say? Unofficial rules. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. And he reacted. No, I know. It's points and everything. He's fighting him in the championship and stuff like that, but. It would have been... He reacted like it was for the podium or something.
Yeah, the reaction was a bit much. I agree.
It's literally for the bottom end of the points.
Yeah, it's
1 point.
Literally a 1 point difference, and you're crying over it.
That's it.
Yeah, well, moving on now to Liam Lawson. Look, I am quite disappointed he didn't get a contract from AlphaTauri for next year, and like he even said, I don't think I could have done better. Which is true, and he's beaten Yuki Tsunoda on track. No incidents, nothing. pure pace. And Yuki
he had a good race.
Yeah, Yuki even started ahead of him.
Yeah, and it was actually his. So we'll do a mixed thing here. So 11th is Lawson, 12th is Yuki Tsunoda. He made it into Q3 for the first time since the Monaco Grand Prix, which is great because it was his home. It's his home Grand Prix. So what a place to do it. But they were neck and neck all race. I was looking at the timesheets and they were 8/10ths, pretty much the whole race from each other.
Yeah, and that's a good battle, and that's how you can really compare who's it. And they didn't use any team orders as well, which is great for as a spectator at least. They were able to fight it out for P11. Obviously, it would have been cool if it was a point for Liam, but nevertheless, you still beat your teammate. And look, I really hope that Liam's on the grid next year. I think he really deserves it. And after these last 4 performances, I think he definitely should be on the grid next year.
Let me tell you, if a couple of drivers, some of them shouldn't even be racing Formula One, and we'll get into that. But in my opinion, I hope he can get a Williams seat for next year. From the sounds of it, it's really up in the air. From the way he's talking, though, they're aiming at a 2025 seat, whether it's Red Bull or AlphaTauri. But I can see why they kept 25. Did I say 25?
Yeah, that's 2 years.
Yeah. No, well, next year's 2024.
But that's
so.
Really, I don't know.
I think. No, it's going quick. They're thinking of giving him either like a sim role, like a reserve driver role, sort of thing, similar to what Ricciardo had this year. But speaking of Ricciardo, I can see why they kept him on. He's quick and stuff like that, and he is in contention for the Red Bull seat in 25 as well. We haven't really seen what he could really do yet, but he brings so much. He's such a good. He's so good for the brand. He's got that sort of character where you can have fun regardless on if he's had a good day or a bad day.
Yeah.
Which is, great for marketing, obviously. But I think there has been a bit of a delay, so he actually won't be back in the seat until Austin, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it looks like Lawson might get one more chance this year. Which I'm happy about. I'm looking for, the more we see Lawson, the better. Get more experience, just to show off.
I think that this Qatar Grand Prix, if he's in it, I think this is the best chance for him to get some points, because no one besides the one they did during COVID, where they just filled it in. There's not much data on this track. No one's really done it fully with these cars, at least. They didn't race there last year, did they? No.
I don't. No, they didn't.
22.
Only the 21 did they? Did they do it 21?
Yeah, or 20. It was definitely 20 because they filled it in for the COVID year.
It was definitely the COVID period. I remember that.
Yeah,
but I don't think they did it last year.
So I don't think that any of the teams have any data for this this type of car. The new spec of car. So I think there's a great chance for anyone to finish in the points.
That's it.
And
it is a very fast track full of very fast corners, similar to Japan. Besides from Verstappen, I would hope to see, maybe we might see a good AlphaTauri result, maybe an Alpine result. Who knows, maybe even Alonso might have a good one. But let's move on to 13th place. Zhou Guanyu started 19th. Good. He actually did pretty well because he actually got damage for flying debris at the start. So he was behind all that first lap crash, and unfortunately a bit of debris hit his, wing. So despite being hurt, he survived and did rather well.
Showed some good pace for that Alfa Romeo, which, let's be honest, has definitely struggled this year. I don't know how they've got it so wrong, but they have. And look, their rivals, kind of Haas, I reckon. Alfa Romeo is such a weird one, but it's good to see that they went forward on the grid. Obviously, there were a couple of non-finishers, but overall, going up on the grid is obviously a good thing. And I just hope that there's a track that's suitable to them coming up because, boy, I don't think they've finished in the points for a while.
It has been I think it has been. I don't even know how long it has been.
Yeah,
it's been too long.
Yeah, you talk about that and I'll find it because it's been ages.
All right. So So, and the thing is, they're moving. Audi's. They're going to become Audi in a couple of years, and I really hope they.
Yeah.
We don't still see them at the back end. I hope they do move up eventually.
Okay, it wasn't that long. It was Monza.
Oh.
Whoops.
But before that...
let's have a look. Yeah, before that was a while. Yeah. Keep going. No, keep going. Yeah. No.
Is it?
No, it's a while.
Okay, cool. All right. Proves our point somewhat.
Yeah, 100%.
But, so... Other than that, I didn't see too much of him. But speaking of Haas, P14 started 18th. Nico Hülkenberg. Oh, my God. Haas is just a disappointment. And even Magnussen finishing 15th behind Hülkenberg.
Magnussen's wasn't his fault. I think
that is true.
Thanks to Sergio. But...
I thought it was Logan Sargent driving that Red Bull. You would think, with how he drove this weekend.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after. It's going to be a long conversation. No, but these Haas, I don't know what's going on with them. Nico ended up doing a 3-stop strategy. It was ridiculous.
Zhou did too as well, actually.
Did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he pitted on lap 1 for damage, though, but Nico didn't.
Yeah, Nico's was genuine 3-stop strategy, and I really hope that they've given up for this season and have focused on next year, because, boy...
Yeah, as Gunter says all the time, we looks like a bunch of wankers.
Yeah, and yeah, it's true. By the way, I've done my research. The last time Alfa Romeo was in the points was also Valtteri Bottas in P10, and that was Canada.
Oh, okay.
So from a while, and then before that was...
What was that, back in May or something, was it? Or?
June. And before that was Zhou Guanyu in Spain. So they actually started the year all right. And I don't know, ever since, obviously, Canada, it's been no good.
Average. Yeah. Similar to, what do we call it? Aston Martin. How they've just fallen back a bit.
Yeah.
And so that was all of the finishes, only 15, which is amazing considering how we only had 2 non-finishers in Singapore with 1 DNS. So let's start off with one I'm a bit sad about, Alex Albon. He started 13th, but he decided to become a plane.
Well, he didn't decide that. Valtteri Bottas decided that.
That is true.
Yeah, Alex was just an innocent bystander. Well, not innocent bystander, but innocent witness, I should say. Witness? What am I looking for? He was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's it.
They tried to go 4 wide into... Well, not even into turn 1. It was on the straight still. It was a bit...
It was before, yeah.
It was a bit ridiculous. It's kind of, watching kids in a go-kart, in my eyes, because that stuff shouldn't happen, man. Like, you got spatial awareness and mirrors, and Valtteri's got a lot of experience. He should have backed out of that one. So, yeah. And obviously, Alex has...
If it wasn't for that...
Yeah, Alex has the potential to finish points every race.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon he might not be able to get points this weekend. I reckon maybe he'll get almost where AlphaTauri was. But, they saw... They tried to stretch it out as long as they could to the point where they just had to give up and retire, unfortunately.
Yep.
So they were on target to finish, but unfortunately, the car had other ideas. But let's quickly talk about his teammate. Who shouldn't be his teammate next year, hopefully. Logan Sargent.
Yeah.
Started in the pit lane, might we add. He didn't even qualify. He had to go to the FIA and get permission to enter the Grand Prix.
Really?
Because he crashed before he... Yeah, so that's the old Formula 1 rule. If you don't set a qualifying lap, you actually have to get permission to race.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's just even more embarrassing. And the fact that he got a 10-second penalty before he even started the race because the team pretty much built a third car when it came to rebuilding it.
Have you seen the price of damage he's done this year?
I'm too scared to look, but it's probably in the 10 digits.
No, 9. 9?
You make it sound like nothing.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, apparently, I don't know if you've seen it, but the bottom of the list is Verstappen, obviously, and apparently he's done $200,000 worth of damage. Now, I'm assuming that because he hasn't had a crash this year, I don't think.
No.
So I'm assuming that's just wear and tear of the engine, to be honest.
I would say, yeah, because that's how much an engine's about, like.
Oh, they're more than 200,000. So I'm just assuming it's
about like half a mil, or are they all postal mil?
Literally some oil.
Yeah.
But Logan has done $3.2 million worth of damage.
It doesn't help when he's crashed literally
I don't think his
every
contract's
weekend
even worth that much.
No, so yeah, look, I could see if it wasn't. Yeah, he has had an average year, but he did have potential in Zandvoort, but he could have been. I reckon, in my opinion, Williams probably were going to sign him for next year, but then he just kept crashing the car.
And then Liam Lawson came up on the show.
That's it. And apparently Felipe Drugovich too, so...
Yeah, well, Felipe
which is a bit of a weird one.
Yes and no. It's weird in the sense that, hey, look, you got this guy who's come into AlphaTauri for 5 races, and proved himself, finished in the points, and he's been in Q2 in every round besides the first one, I think. And maybe...
Well, Singapore he made it in Q3.
Yeah, exactly.
Zandvoort, he didn't.
I think he was still. I think he was last. No, Zandvoort was the first one. That was the one that was.
Yeah. That's when Ricardo hurt his hand.
Yeah. Ignore that one. That was just an intro. But you got this kid who's proved himself in a car that's pretty similar. Let's be honest, it's pretty similar to the Williams in terms of pace. Versus a guy who's about to win F2 championship. I'm not sure, he didn't win last year, but he was already in F2. And might I add, I'm pretty sure he finished better than Logan Sargent in the results. So...
Do you know what? I actually found something very funny.
What was that?
So I saw this on social media. Sargent was actually competing for the championship in Formula 2 with Oscar Piastri. Like, they were neck and neck.
Yeah.
Which is pretty insane considering where the two have ended up. And the Williams isn't even a bad car.
No,
like, you can't even say that anymore.
You can't blame the car anymore. Yeah, it's like when Robert Kubica was there. It was literally a tank. And
that's right, yeah. That's his name. I was trying to work that out. I was like, which was that Russian driver?
Yeah, no, Robert Kubica.
Nikita Mazepin.
And Latifi as well. Like,
yeah.
Williams, I don't know why, but ever since probably the Stroll and Massa combination they've never had two good drivers.
I still remember when Stroll got a podium in at Baku in 2017.
That was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
But, like, ever since that combination, they've never had two good drivers in their team.
No, that's it. And speaking of Stroll, he's the next one.
Yeah.
17th, started 17th, DNF.
What actually happened to him? I missed that.
So, his rear wing started to fall off.
Okay.
So, which caused the DNF. But I don't know if that's from the first lap crash or something. It was just random.
It could have been debris.
Yeah, probably. But it's a bit hard to drive these cars without a rear wing.
Yeah, even
probably smart call.
I had to avoid the debris. It was that much.
That's it. The main thing is, though, Stroll started the race.
Yeah.
This time.
He actually qualified.
Sergio Perez. Oh, my God. Where do we begin? Started 5th. Did he get caught in... I've written in my notes here, what were you doing, mate? And that's it. So, what happened? Was he in the lap 1 crash?
I don't think so. I think he copped debris. Look, I'd have to watch it again, to be honest, because he was involved in so many incidents. It's not even funny.
No, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he did. He came in, I think, lap 1 or 2 or something and got a new front wing, only to ruin it when he crashed into the back of Magnussen.
Yeah.
Which was such a rookie move.
It wasn't even a move. He was so far back.
Magnussen he had that corner straight away. Like, he wasn't even there by the time the apex was there.
Oh, but like, it couldn't have been a worse scenario. Like, he was on hard tires compared to Magnussen on mediums. He was so far back, and he locked up.
Yeah, and it was weird. He retired, then he came back out for a lap or two, and then he had to retire again, which I've never seen before in Formula One. But
No.
we're so used to seeing that in supercars, I consider that normal.
Yeah, well, supercars are built a little bit better than F1 cars.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, they get points for finishing last.
Yeah, true. Look, I don't know. The Perez conversation. The Perez conversation. The Perez conversation annoys me. Honestly, it really annoys me because here we are talking about guys who are fighting for an AlphaTauri seat, and here's Perez going and literally throwing the championship away after the summer break.
I'll be surprised if he actually keeps his seat next year.
I don't understand why the conversation hasn't started about him I'm assuming that Red Bull, if this continues the way it is, will make a change mid-season, that the Kings are doing that. However, I don't know why they're even waiting till then. Like, look, you hired the guy to compete against Max after, let's face it, one win. Like, they literally hired him the day that he won that race. And I in a way, I still don't understand why. I do understand why, but I don't. Because he hadn't proved himself that much to get it. It was literally the only seat left on the grid, and he happened to manage to get the best role. And then they kicked out Albon, who, by the way, is now a stud.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he replaced Albon. Yeah.
Like, they kicked out Albon, who literally didn't get a podium twice because of Lewis. The kid just got absolutely shafted. And
I still hate that.
Yeah, so do I. And look, the Perez conversation really bugs me because he doesn't deserve to be there. Yes, he's had a few wins, but let's be honest. How many has he had? 3? 3 or 4?
He's had too many. Too many to be in a Red Bull.
Yeah, no, I said wins. Like, how many wins has he had for them?
Oh, wins. I remember he won in Jeddah.
3? Yeah.
Was that it, or did he have 2? I swore he had 2 in that too.
Yeah. No, I think he's had 3. But, look, most of them were legitimate against Max. Like the Jeddah one, for example, he led start to finish, so he deserved that one. But I still don't think over a year, look, Red Bull are the team, like Mercedes, that want to win races, want to win championships. And you gotta be there, man. You have to be there. And
that's it.
Well, he keeps.
It's still amazing. It's amazing that he's still second, but I wonder how long he will be second for come the end of the year.
Well, let's have a look at the standings.
I think it's like 20 or 40 odd points.
Oh, hang on, might not be because he's 33 in front of Lewis.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll get into the points in a minute after we talk about the last place finisher. But I don't see him staying there next year, for the whole year.
No, I'll be shocked.
Knowing Red Bull.
But the problem is Red Bull don't kick people out. They just demote them to AlphaTauri. So you're going to have to watch Ricciardo Tsunoda very closely. Yeah, Valtteri Bottas, once again, not doing good. So, yeah, look, I'm kind of bored of talking about Bottas not finishing.
There's nothing really to talk about, to be honest.
No, how many laps did he last? Like 15?
He had a hole in the side pod, and some suspension damage, which eventually caused the DNF. He said the car was undrivable. Plus, he actually got spun by Sargent.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
which ruined his day.
Yeah, he did 7 laps. So, that wasn't very good. That was the whole grid.
The race was probably 6 out of 10. Not much on-track action, but a lot of behind the scenes. So now let's have a quick look at the top 10 of the drivers' standings.
So I'll run you through the top 10. Max has already cleared the top. He's on 400 points. Next is Perez on 223. And like we said before, this gap has closed down to Lewis Hamilton, who's on 190. So it is literally on for second place, which is cool. As a spectator, it's great. So kind of wish that Perez has some rounds where it doesn't really go well, just make it close, just for fun. And then actually, Fernando Alonso's not far behind. He's in fourth, and he's on 174 points. Another 16 behind Lewis, and then following another 16 actually. 24. 24 points behind Alonso is Carlos Sainz. Another 15 points is his teammate Charles Leclerc. And then the McLaren Storm Train is coming with Lando in 7th. Even. He's actually even with George Russell, which I didn't realise. We said last week's episode that Piastri would pass Stroll by the end of the year. He actually did it in 1 week.
I love that.
Week, he's passed him. He's now in 9th. And Lance Stroll is now in 10th.
And cheeky.
Sorry, I'll just do 11th because Gasly is 1 point behind Stroll.
It's all quite tight at the back end of the middle pack. All right, let's have a quick look at the top 5 in the constructors' standings. We've got Red Bull leading the way with 623 points, who have also clinched the constructors' title already, as we mentioned before. Mercedes is following not so close behind with 305 points. Ferrari's in third, 285 points. Fourth is Aston Martin with 221 points. And slowly but surely catching up is McLaren in 5th with 172, which I can see them potentially overtaking Aston if they continue to perform the way they are.
With the momentum that McLaren have, I think that will be a very close battle for that position. And then down the order, the only real close battle is Haas and Alpha. They're 8th and 9th with 12 and 10 points respectively. And then AlphaTauri is behind on 5, so they're last on only 5 points. But they've had more momentum than Haas and Alfa Romeo, probably combined. So, yeah.
Well, that's it for the Japanese Grand Prix. If you did enjoy this episode, feel free to hit a like, subscribe, follow wherever you're listening to, whether it's Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, or Google, or even if you're listening on YouTube. Feel free to hit a follow and subscribe. Check out our socials at Let's Talk.Motorsport on Instagram and TikTok. And we've also got a Facebook as well. Just search up Let's Talk Motorsport. Alex, would you like to give your socials out?
Just before I head off, obviously follow me on my social media, Alex Millsy Sim Racing on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. Forgot about those. Where I do a weekly stream at least once a week with my busy schedule at the moment. Now with this podcast. So yeah, thank you guys for having me on the show again.
And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at DanielLeckel35. Again, all the links will be in the description below. And stay tuned for next week. We'll probably be doing a Bathurst weekend preview, as we've only got 1 week to go to the great race. That's all from us. Bye for now.